Well, apologies for that break in transmission. We were told that there were some technical hitches that had happened. Before we carry on from where we left off, I'd just like to say welcome to Honorable Madi Sise for hopping over the bridge and coming to the GPU to join us for this very important, probably first time in Gambia's history whereby civil society and parliamentarians are coming together in a common cause. So we salute him for efforts. And obviously he'll be speaking immediately after Mr. Sidi Sane finishes the section under the untenable position of Semlex. So I'd ask Mr. Sidi Sane to maybe start again from the actual section on the untenable position of Semlex. Mr. Sane.
Yeah. Thank you, Jagan, and welcome, Honorable Madi Sise. I would like to just start off with the untenable position of Semlex as a company. In 2009, Semlex signed a contract with the government of Mozambique, a build, operate, and transfer contract, valid for 10 years, for the supply of secure solutions for the production of identity cards, travel documents, identification and residence documents for foreigners, and frontier visas. The government terminated the contract after an audit found Semlex in violation of the contract. In August, Semlex said it demanded another audit, which should be carried out by an independent entity, a recognized company, with proven technical and professional experience in the area. It says the government turned this proposal down. An investigative report by Reuters revealed how Semlex had wreaked havoc in countries it operated. Reuters reported how Karaziwan, who is the CEO of Semlex, struck a deal to supply biometric passports to the Democratic Republic of Congo, for which its citizens had to pay $185 each. Congo previously charged $100 for passports. The current deal arranged for $60 from each passport to go to an obscure Gulf company owned by a relative of Congo's President Joseph Kabila, according to documents and a source familiar with the arrangements. In January 17, 2018, this year, Reuters reported that police on Wednesday, which was the Wednesday of January 17th, the headquarters of Belgian company Semlex, which supplies passports to various African countries, and the home of its CEO, Albert Karaziwan. About a dozen officers arrived at Semlex's office in Brussels and at Karaziwan's house in the city early in the morning, when the search was still continuing. The same investigative report stated that earlier this week, authorities in the Comoros, an archipelago off the coast of Africa, where Semlex has supplied identity documents since 2007, cancelled 170 passports that the government had said had been improperly issued to foreigners, including many Iranians. The passports supplied by Semlex had been issued between 2013 and 2015 by a previous government. The current government of the Comoros last week, again making reference to the January 17th date, issued the passport supplied by Semlex had been issued between 2013 and 2016 by the previous government. The current government of the Comoros last week also withdrew a diplomatic passport issued by Karaziwan by a previous administration that had appointed him a roving ambassador. The action by authorities in Belgium and the Comoros follows two Reuters reports examining the activities of Semlex in Africa, where the private Belgian company had landed contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There is now a criminal probe into Semlex and its operations, and a case of Semlex CEO, Albert Karaziwan, over money laundering and other corrupt practices. The national prosecutor has confirmed that various evidences against Semlex has been uncovered. Their computers, files, materials have since been sealed and confiscated to aid in the investigations. This is a company that has been awarded a contract which was immersed in illegality from the onset. A contract that flouted all the procurement rules and vested in the corrupt practices of the Jammeh regime, which the current government is now determined to uphold and execute, despite all the evidence of the political exposure and high risk associated with this company. Nevertheless, the Gambia government yet still insists on entrusting their most precious assets to this company: identification of their citizens, reputation of its national identities, and the citizens' power to elect and select how they wish to be governed, their voters' cards. There is need for the National Assembly to put a motion forward for an inquiry, pass the motion, and get to work for the integrity and security of the Gambia, as the credibility of the National Assembly depends on it. Elevating a culture of transparency and accountability depends on it, which is why the National Assembly members must start entrenching a practice of probity before it is defeated and overwhelmed by impunity, which threatens our national security.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sane, for that. I just wanted to also ask whether Honorable Madi Sise can come in and just say a statement or a few words on the National Assembly's right to call for an inquiry based on the responsibilities and the privileges that is bestowed on it by the Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Sise. Honorable.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you, my colleagues, for coming to this very important press conference. As you've rightly said, the National Assembly has a role because the President, the ministers are all accountable to the National Assembly because we are people's representative. And as a result, yes, we are mandated in the standing order and in the Constitution to probe into any matter that we feel there are doubts. As we speak to you now, those constitutional clauses and the standing order sections that empower us to go probe into the matter, we have already started working on that. So my position, even before this press conference, in the previous newspaper articles and editorials, especially that of the Daily News, of which I am the proprietor, we have indicated that what is at stake here now is our national integrity. The Gambia, as you rightly said, our passport is ranked very high in the international world, 71 if I'm not mistaken. And if the government is bent on giving this contract to Semlex, all our national documents, the ID cards which the government is not able to supply for the past 2 years, the passports, the driver licenses, and now we're thinking of giving our voters' cards to Semlex. My position is, this is a company that is currently under investigation in their home country, in Belgium, for corruption and money laundering. This is a company that Mozambique is sending them out. This is a contract, this is a company that Comoros is cancelling their contracts with them. Even our neighbors, Guinea-Bissau, have done the same thing. So there are all indications that Semlex is not a credible company, Therefore, why should the Gambia give all our national documents to an incredible company to print our documents? This is my position. So I am driven by my consent, and I will do all what I can in my capacity as National Assembly member. I am representing the entire Gambia, not Serekunda West alone, and I'm not representing my party alone. I am a National Assembly member, so anything that is of interest to the nation is what is my priority. So therefore, I'll do everything within the limits of the law to make sure that we go deep into this issue. By my wish would have been, and recommendations would have been, to set up a private independent inquiry into the entire issuance of this contract to Semlex. Then if the facts are out, that's the time governments would now take a decision. I am aware that there is a ministerial task force comprising of the Minister of Information, the Justice Minister, and another ministry. Interior is excluded because I feel they are stakeholders. So, and that task force is taking too long. And Gambians are deprived of their national document, that is ID cards. We have a company which is home-based, if they are qualified, which is pristine, which has given us the first biometric ID cards. Why do we waste time? They have over 800,000 records of Gambians. If the contract is awarded to prison today, tomorrow people will start to have their IDs. So why are we wasting time over these issues? That's my position. So like I said, I am people's representative, and I'm going to do anything, and I will do everything within the laws to make sure that we investigate this issue, get the facts out. Because I'm speaking my mind freely, because I want to believe that there is a lot of wrongs around this issuance of contract to Semlex, from the first government to the current one. The first government, when they issued the contract by Usman Sonko, was then the Minister of Interior, it was felt it was not done rightly, and there's high suspicion that he was given a bribe. And my sources told me clearly that when Usman was caught in Swiss, he was caught with 12,000 euros, which money is part of still allegations that he's allegedly been bribed by Semlex. And if there is a change in government and we want to reinstate that same contract that was aborted by the Jame region, then I have my doubts. And that is why the private inquiry into this saga, that's all the reason why I'm calling for a private investigation into the issuance of contract to Semlex. Thank you. Unless you have questions,
thank you.
I'm more than willing to respond to any question.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Cisse. What we're going to do is the questions, what we had said was that will come after we've gone through the timelines. And just to put it into context. So I was going to read the timelines from 2016, the milestones, to 2017, and then Mr. Sane will finish off on the milestones in 2018, and then we can open it up for questions, I think, if that's okay. So I'll just start very quickly. Based on our findings and also some of the investigations that we've done over the many months, I'd like to just state on record that it is unclear when and who initiated contacts first, whether it was Gambia government or Semlex. But what is clear is that Semlex made an offer to install, oversee, and deliver a biometric system for the Gambia. I think that's been established. We also know that on June the 16th, 2016, the Interior Minister of the former regime, as Honorable Cisse rightly said, Usman Sonko, allegedly took a unilateral decision to award a contract, a single source deal to Semlex. The contract stipulated that the company would be the sole producers of national biometric IDs and passports. On the 24th of August 2016, Secretary General Office of the President conveyed an order from the then President Jammeh to terminate the Semlex contract. In that same directive, instructions were given for a contract to be given to ZETEX, Z-E-T-E-X. On that same day, a request also came from the Permanent Secretary of the Interior on the need to obtain legal advice from the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary on the processes involved in the Semlex contract termination. On the 29th of August 2016, the Permanent Secretary of the Interior, Mr. Momodu Naisise, informs Semlex that its contract has been terminated. It must be stated that prior to Semlex being awarded a contract, a Gambian company, Pristine, had secured a contract in 2009 with the Gambia government, which it extended on the 4th of May 2015. That contract was never officially terminated. The matter is currently in court or in international arbitration. On the 5th of September 2016, Permanent Secretary of the Interior, Mr. Momodu Naisise, informs Danny Chakur, also known as Danny Chakur, spelled differently, Chaccour, also spelled Chakour, the same person, of Africa Gambia Limited, also a managing partner of Afriways, that ZX, a company Mr. Shakur owns, has been, quote, awarded a contract for the production of the biometric documentation for the Islamic Republic of the Gambia with immediate effect, close quote. Other private sector players involved with the ZX group through the Euro-African group also include Mr. Ralph Mata, Mr. Fadi Magezi, and Mr. Mohamed Bazi. On the 17th of October 2016, Semlex wrote to the Minister of Justice asking for liability payment or compensation of $100,000. On the 27th of October 2016, the Secretary General, Office of the President, communicated to the Minister of Justice, stating that Semlex was awarded a contract by the Minister of Interior without cabinet approval. It further claimed that Semlex did not have a contract with the Gambia because the said contract was signed illegally by the Minister of Interior, Mr. Usman Sonko. On the 11th of March 2017, the Deputy Secretary General, Office of the President, chaired a meeting where a recommendation was made to the Solicitor General to be given a copy of the Semlex contract to apply his mind on the matter. Subsequent meetings were held, but the dates are unclear, so we cannot speculate on those particular events. On the 27th of July 2017, the then Minister of Interior, Mr. Maifati, revealed that the Gambian government was obliged to pay up to $100 million to Semlex. R2K Gambia maintains that he is not to be believed. He made these startling revelations at a press conference held at the new offices of his ministry, where he also denied receiving a bribe from Semlex. Mr. Fati stated that at the time, the contract with Semlex was merely being renegotiated by the new government after it was awarded by the former President Jammeh and later illegally terminated shortly afterwards. Right to Know Gambia maintains that this is highly inaccurate. Besides, no due process or laws around public procurement were ever followed. Furthermore, he was also quoted as saying, and I quote, "The Solicitor General at the time advised against terminating the contract with Semlex because there was a clause which states that when the contract is terminated after implementation began, the Gambia government is obliged to pay up to $100 million. We do not have that kind of money," close quote. He further stated that Semlex was awarded a contract by the former president, according to records. Semlex began importing technological implements or equipments to implement the contract at a value of $10 million. That was his assertion. He asserted that Semlex began importing technological equipment to implement the contract at a value of $10 million, and those machines are still in the country. That was the assertion made by the former Minister of Interior, Mr. Maifati. Right to Know Gambia challenges the former minister to show proof that these machines are currently in the country and are of the value stated. To prove this should not be too difficult. There should be duty waivers approved by the finance minister. We need to see the waivers as evidence that indeed the equipment worth $10 million entered the Gambia. Mr. Fati further said that the Gambia government was obliged to pay up to $100 million to Semlex, the firm originally awarded with the international ID cards contract in 2016, should the contract be taken away from them. R2K again maintains that this is a gross exaggeration of the reality and designed to scare the government into sheepishly embracing the contract, conditions of which are unclear, and for the Gambian people to resign to the fate of, and I quote, our hands are tied. As the issue between Semlex and Pristine escalated, at a press briefing covered by the media, the spokesperson in the office of the president was quoted to have said, and I quote, "The Barrow government has finally decided that an indigenous Gambian technology solution company, Pristine, should work together with Semlex, a Belgian company engaged in the development and supply of technological systems in identification and authentication. Policy decision is that the Ministry of Interior will have to work with Semlex and Pristine for the production of the national ID cards in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance for the procedures to be followed." Closed quote. That was the presidential spokesperson, Mrs. Ami Bojang Sisoho, when she spoke to reporters. R2K Gambia maintains that there is no evidence that this was the case. One of the parties have stated that no such communication was made to them about the need to collaborate. On the 24th of November 2017, Finance Minister Mr. Sane issued a tender invitation to Pristine and Semlex, who were required to resubmit their respective proposals on or before Thursday, January the 4th, 2018. A ministerial task force comprising the Finance Minister, Sane, Justice Minister Tambedu, and Information Minister Jawa was established to evaluate the proposals. I will stop there and ask Mr. Sidi Sane to carry on and give us a breakdown of the milestones of what happened in 2018. Mr. Sane, we can't hear you.
Sorry. On January 14th, can you hear me now? On January 4th, 2018, Pristine submitted its proposals. Semlex did not submit, maintaining in quotes their opposition that they still have a valid contract with the government, to quote the Minister of Justice. It was several days, weeks, after the closing of the tenders and after Semlex failed to submit a bid, that the Gambia government decided to unilaterally cancel the bidding process and recognize and restore the June 2016 contract with Semlex with no legal consequences for the cancellation of the bidding process. On January 25th, 2018, in a letter which was erroneously dated 2017, Buli Diba, then Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Interior, wrote an official letter, reference LD 79/125/01/99, invited Semlex to return to the country and carry on with the contract of being the sole contractor for passports and ID cards. He went further and awarded Semlex an additional contract to produce and supply voters' cards, therefore unilaterally stripping the mandate and independence of the Independent Electoral Commission to undertake its obligations and responsibilities given to it to oversee procurement of election materials, which includes the supply of voters' cards. On or about February 15, 2018, the Minister of Justice gave a press briefing where he revealed the following. 1. That the government, the Barrow administration, did not award a contract for the production of national ID cards to Semlex. R2K maintains that the Semlex contract was actually altered, meaning that the terms had been varied, as evidence show in the letter of 25th January 2018, usurped the IEC's mandate in procuring electoral materials, and they were further offered the concession of printing the voter IDs. 2. The government decided to recognize and restore the subsisting January 2016 contract with Semlex, which was purportedly terminated by the previous government shortly after the contract was executed with the Ministry of Interior in 2016. Third, after three separate legal opinions prepared by the Ministry of Justice on this matter, the first one being in 2016, soon after the contract with Semlex was terminated, and another one in June 2017, prepared by the three state councils at the Ministry of Justice, with the assistance of a senior lawyer from the ISMP, and following a further review of this opinion conducted in September 2017, all of which concluded that one, the contract with Pristine Consulting had expired in 2014, and two, that the termination of the Semlex contract was wrong and in breach of the contract terms. Fourthly, notwithstanding and in consideration of the fact that the government was still desirous of giving Pristine Consulting as a Gambian-owned company a fair opportunity to compete with Semlex, the government agreed, for strategic legal reasons, to conduct a restricted bidding process and invited Pristine and Semlex to submit bids for the production of national ID cards. Fifth, a ministerial task force was established to oversee the process, comprising the Minister of Justice, Tambedu, excuse me, Honorable Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Demba Jao, and Honorable Minister of Finance, Amadou Sane, as chair. In order to ensure the integrity of the process, the Honorable Minister of Interior at the time was excused from participating in the process because of his earlier public comments he had made regarding the matter. After consultation with our representative, with our respective staffs rather, both Pristine and Semlex were invited to submit their bids. R2K maintains that as much as this was commendable and standard procedure, we are concerned at this inconsistency. The recusal should have been extended to other members of the panel for reasons we hope the National Assembly inquiry would unearth. Then again, at the same press conference, the Minister of Justice revealed that Pristine submitted their bids and Semlex did not, maintaining their position that they still had a valid contract with the government. At this point, the ministerial task force had to consider its options. One, or A,